conducted by the CBI. Full stop. The Kolkata police is looking into the investigation following the vandalization of the hospital after the protests of the after protests after the protests at the site.
No, it was vandalism, my lord, not protest.
After the protests at the site.
Yes, yes, vandalism after the protest. Yes, yes.
Full stop. Next. From the material which has been produced before the court, it appears that a request for conducting the polygraph test has been submitted. Test of the accused has been submitted to the ACJM Sialda, which is stated to be under process. Full stop. The ACJM Sialda shall pass orders on the application no later than by 5 p.m. on 23 August 2024. Full stop. During the course of the hearing, a number of counsel have appeared on behalf of diverse stakeholders, including the associations representing the resident doctors. Full stop.
And other doctors, my lord.
Resident doctors and other doctors. Full stop. Among others. Full stop. The counsel who have intervened in these proceedings, together with the parties for whom they have intervened, are set out below. Colon, ye pura statement le lijiye. In the previous order of this court, while constituting a national task force, this court had specifically clarified that the NTF should engage with diverse stakeholders. Full stop. Consequently, we hope and trust that the NTF shall hear the representatives of diverse stakeholders, so as to enable it to have inputs from all those who are likely to be affected by the process which has been initiated by this court, and who have a vital stake in maintaining safety and well-being of the doctors and other medical professionals in their workplaces.
One second, I have to say something.
In their workplaces.
I give it to
Stop. We have not said no. We have said all stakeholders. During the course of the hearing, learned counsel have placed some additional suggestions which may be taken into account by the committee, including (1) the installation of distress call systems, the institutionalization of distress call systems, (2) regulation of duty hours, and 3, the lodgement of the constitution of a compensation distress fund. Next, the above suggestions would, it is needless to note, be considered by the National Task Force, whose remit has been couched in broad terms by this court. Stop. It is undoubted that the views of diverse stakeholders would be taken into account by the task force before its final recommendations are made. Full stop. To facilitate the filing of suggestions before the National Task Force, we direct the Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of the Union Government to open a specific portal on the website of the Ministry, on which associations, or as the case may be, different stakeholders can submit their suggestions for consideration before the committee. Full stop. Mr. Kapil Sibal, learned counsel appearing on behalf of the state of West Bengal, the Kolkata police, submits that this court may clarify, submits that while this court has permitted peaceful protests, the order should not be misconstrued to mean that the authorities are precluded from exercising their regulatory powers in accordance with law. Stop. This court has not injuncted the state from exercising such lawful authority, lawful powers as are entrusted in terms of the law. However, we categorically reaffirm that peaceful protests
Yes.
shall not be disturbed, nor shall the peaceful protest shall not be disturbed or disrupted, and the state shall not take any action against those who are protesting against the who are peacefully protesting
That's correct.
against the incident which took place at Rajikot Medical College.
Let's maybe say one more
Hold on. Allow me. Whether your lordships may take my affidavit on record. Yeah, take on record. And Malas, two things.
One more.
We have filed the status report, but the pen drive is not being taken, which has the videos. Malas, that pen drive may be taken on record.
My lords, with
They are
regard
in
to
extras.
backlash,
One thing.
One second.
Should we keep it after a week for the next status report to be filed before us? Because we just like to.
That's fine, Malas. But the pen drive may be taken because they are the annexures, Malas. Yes, deeply obliged.
my lords,
Just give
with
it, keep
regard,
the pen drive.
Karuna, this is.
Malas, and also, let me finish. Let me-
we'll finish the.
Where?
Well, let me just finish this. Malas, my timeline, Malas, on the events.
My lord, only one request I have to make.
1 second, hold on, please. Let me make my.
Yeah, of course.
Malas, the timelines. Court master, just take that. So
My lord,
one
the
second.
request
Malas,
is
the
this.
timeline.
Lord, request is this, my lord.
In view of the fact that this court has taken measures to ensure the institutionalization of the concerns of the medical professions in terms of the previous order dated so and so, it is only to be expected that the doctors would now return to work. Full stop. Pending the submission of the report to the National Tax Task Force, all state governments and union territories shall ensure that wherever the need arises in terms of the exigencies of work, the state shall be alert to any apprehended violations of a breach of apprehension violations or breach of safety
Nobody
in medical establishments within that.
My
Only
lords,
one
doctors
request.
are with the
Only
court on
one
that.
request.
My lords,
Time-
backlash we can be protected against.
Timeline of events as they happen, Malas.
My lord, can the timeline at least be shared with us?
We'll give you
Give a copy to the.
Yes.
Obviously, but this can never be secret, my lord.
What, nothing.
Mr.
Of
Sribal,
course not, nothing.
also give the, or your status report.
Yeah.
Well, that can be shared with the CBI.
Of course, it can be. I-
Status-
I'm giving confidence.
Investigation is pending, Malas. How can the status report be shared? That cannot.
But one aspect may be considered.
Yes, his status report is not shared.
States
Sir, the CISF has been deployed at.
Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord.
एक और वो भी लिख लीजिए. The Solicitor General states that in compliance with the orders of this court, the CISF has been deployed at Rajikot Medical College and Hospital so as to ensure the safety of
Just one small submission.
all other medical professionals.
My lords had said in the morning an additional line, my lords, with regard to protecting our doctors from backlash. They will, of course, rejoin. But my lords, and they have never suspended emergency services. But my lords, there is a concern, already a backlash.
Ms. Nandi, there's no question of only doing emergency services. In a place like, say, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, people take appointments 2 years in advance. If doctors are not available on duty for a day, that means that person loses a slot which was booked 2 years in advance.
Absolutely, my lords. And during lunch, we spoke to our doctors, and this is what has been said, and this is what has absolutely been agreed to. My lords, just the backlash, though, there is the health department and the medical council, we are being told that the action is being taken against our doctors. These are under control of the West Bengal government who are protesting, the protesting doctors. In addition, private and public
Look, what you do
harassment is happening from
we are
the
keeping it
police.
next week.
Yes, my lords.
Once the doctors get back to work,
Yes.
please come back to us and tell us.
Lordships, may I just point out
Come back, my lords.
Lordship,
Maharaj,
Worships, there is an
Can we
order.
record this in the order?
An apprehension has been expressed on behalf of the doctors, stating that that they are liable to be, they are likely to be, or some of them are already being proceeded against.
Not to interrupt, in Delhi, there is FIR registered against us.
Right,
Already.
for the protests which took place in the past. Full stop. We are expecting compliance with the assurance which is now given to the court that the doctors would join normal duties. Full stop. In the meantime, if any adverse action has been taken against any protesting doctor for protests which have been carried out prior to the date of this order, no coercive steps shall be taken on the basis of any action.
Lordship,
So
there is an
Lordship,
order of,
one
there is
concern,
an order
Lordship.
of a college in Ujjain where my learned
But
friend
nothing hereafter, because now after
Not-
this order, everybody must
This-
fight.
Yes, ma'am.
Lordship, one,
doctors have been told
Threatened for contempt.
not even to go on a token strike. My learned friend wants.
I just received the,
I'll tell you one thing, get back to work now. If any doctor is proceeded against for a protest which took place in the past, we have already said no coercive action will be taken.
this is for the future, actually. We are saying
Right.
that we cannot go for the token
But
protest
you,
as well.
no, but future now you must come back to duty.
The problem is
Can
that
we
if we,
say,
if
can
we,
we say as judges that we'll stand outside the Supreme Court? No,
Yes,
because
we seek permission from the
justice and
authority.
medicine can't go on strike.
yeah,
Everybody has to come back.
to the proper measure, it should be done.
Lordship,
And
another
that's for the
aspect.
contempt.
Maharaj, just
Lordship, another aspect.
one second.
Look, first,
Strip.
first establish before us next time that everybody has come back to work. Once we are satisfied that everybody has come back to work, please rest assured, we'll make sure that no adverse action is taken. What happened in the past.
Maharaj, the other
One
thing is,
aspect-
your lordships have taken now the status report on record and a separate affidavit on record. Now, Maharaj, the only thing is, and this is a request from everybody, that Maharaj, normalcy should try and be, Maharaj, the people should not take advantage of the situation. Normalcy should return, Maharaj, and we are
Yes, yes,
investigating
stop
in their
vandalism,
hands now.
normal.
Responsible is in their hands now, the
If
investigation.
vandalism is stopped,
These
everything will
kind
be
of
normal.
statements,
Therefore, we have requested the doctors to come back to work.
yeah, no statements, Maharaj,
The
that are being made of the
investigation is
nature.
going on.
Lordship.
The investigation is going on. We are assessing the status reports which are being filed in the course of the investigation. I think now, for the family, there's no question of normalcy because the family is deeply affected.
Correct.
But insofar as the community is concerned, including the community of doctors, we have to return back to our
Absolutely.
duty.
And the statements and the,
Lord, just
the
one
statements
sentence.
made of the
Just one
nature that we have placed before you.
I appear for the
Lord,
Resident Doctors
Only a
Association
minute,
of.
my lord, let this not, my lord. Lord, we are not against, my lord, and nobody should make any statement.
That's correct.
We have a statement of a sitting minister of the state of West Bengal
Lord.
saying that, no, not all, that's something very serious. That if anybody talks anything against our leader, his fingers will be chopped off.
Well, then I will read the leader of the opposition statement.
Go into it. Nobody should speak.
Bullets will be fired. Bullets will be fired is what he said.
What we would also expect,
Yes.
please don't politicize. these
Exactly,
things.
exactly.
So
My
Bindu has
learned
said
friend
bullets will
started
be
with
fired.
this, my lord,
Across
therefore
the
I.
political spectrum,
Yes.
parties have to realize, don't politicize.
That's right.
Exactly, my lord,
Deeply
exactly.
No,
Mr.
The
Simple
law will take its
started by
course.
saying.
Yes.
step
The
back.
law will take its course and we are ensuring that the law does take its course after a quick and efficient
Deeply
investigation.
obliged. Deeply obliged.
Second, we are also concerned about the welfare and safety of doctors for the future. We want to institutionalize this.
That's right.
Yes.
We are not just going to lay down guidelines. We are going to pass an enforceable direction that the recommendations of the task force will be implemented by the state governments or by hospitals under the
Deeply
authority of the union government.
My Lord,
Lordship, there is
By
a
my
possibility of.
interruption, I prevented a political dialogue by giving this instance.
mine is not, but just 10 seconds. my Lord. We are grateful. I appear for the Resident Doctors Association of AIMS Delhi. We are grateful. Lordship's taken so moto. What has happened is we've taken a peaceful protest. I registered. I get the general secretary of the association. Now, as it is, emotions are running high. The office bearers are sensible. They're trying their best to convince the large body to get back to work. Now, these kind of FIRs, etc., sets back the process. Just tell them
Why
to hold
don't
their
you
hand.
do this?
Delhi police.
Why don't you do this? Ask the doctors at AIMS Delhi also to get back to work. Insofar as the FIR and other things are concerned, we are seized of it. When we are seized of it, nothing is going to happen. You just,
Registered yesterday, my lord, General Secretary accused
now
in the
tell us
FIR.
one thing, since when have you been abstaining from duties? Tell us, how long is it back?
From the time the incident, for last
So-
7 days, 7
So
days.
the incident
Nine.
took place on the 9th.
Yes, my lord.
Right? Today we are now on the 22nd. Imagine 13 days doctors from the All India Institute of Medical Sciences don't go to work.
Absolutely. As an officer of the court, as lawyers, we've been talking to them after your lordship's taken so motor cognizance. We've told them.
Democracy does not mean indiscipline.
I understand, but these FIRs aggravates, my lord.
To work.
Lordship understands the 1,500 doctors, office bearers are sensible. They are trying.
Tell the doctors
Yes.
that once they get back to work, we'll put it to the director. The director is a member of our task force.
Yes, my lord.
We put it to the director that all right, and we'll tell the police who are here before us. Nobody wants to pursue the doctors,
Yes, that's
right?
But what happens is,
Eventually they have to get back to work. That's it.
let them just hold their hands till the lordship is. No, FIR registered for a peaceful protest and after the last order, my lord.
But therefore, we have just said that no coercive steps will be
Yes.
taken, that we have already protected the doctors.
Yes,
But only
understand.
now if they don't get back to work,
I understand. I completely will convey the sentiment.
May I just say, your lordships,
One submission, Lordship. One
Well,
submission.
they-
Lordship.
Nobody should say acid bombs will be used, this should be done, bullets should be fired. It's all wrong, Malad.
well, God knows, you have these kind of elements everywhere on all sides of the spectrum.
Exactly.
Now tell us, we don't know who has said that.
We've got the clips.
You have given that to us, but
Yes,
what is the idea?
and the leader of the opposition has done this.
My
Malad.
lord,
Leader of
I
the
am also
opposition.
getting, my lord, many things.
Quay home,
I-
there's a protective order. We can't lodge an FIR.
Responsible way of not placing it before the
Yes.
court.
Therefore,
It
we
is
have
to be
said
ignored,
that when we
not
said
to be
that
highlighted.
peaceful protesters will not be disturbed,
Yeah.
that is equally subject to compliance with the
Yeah,
other requirements,
deeply.
with
What you
intimation to the district magistrate.
Lordship, may I say one thing, Lordship? Lordship, because of two investigating agencies are investigating, the vandalism is being investigated by the police and other side is investigated by the CBI. Lordship, there is an apprehension that conflict will be there. Lordship, because vandalism.
Don't worry about it. We are here to
Well,
resolve any
consider
conflict.
that
What
as
is
the
there on the
concern.
next
While assessing, Lordship, because.
Media trial also must be banned. Media spreading rumors, it is insulting the victim, my lord. Kindly stop.
We've already passed that order.
It is alleged.
CBI may not.
One more thing, if you stop filing all those publicity interest litigations that I come every day before this court, I think the media trial will stop. Constantly filing some PIL or the other before us. All right, we'll see.
lordships, may I just finally say that this hearing has provided a healing touch to the doctors. The doctors who
Yes.
felt they had nobody to vent their grievance with. Your lordships have heard it so patiently, and there's a sense of satisfaction among the doctors that they felt that they now feel that they've finally been heard. So we would just like
Yes,
to thank your
we
lordships.
thank.
Saprajita, we have also said that today that the doctors would be heard by the committee. So
Yes,
let's
we
I
wait.
must tell you,
clarify that.
Lord, I must tell you, Lordship, my Lord, when,
Change, my lords, we are.
Mr. Karan, Ms. Karan,
your lordship.
my Lord, when the secretary, my Lord, Health,
Yes.
Director General of Health Services came, they also shared this concern with that doctors are exposed to patients and patients' relatives, and their temper is also going high because doctors have their own duties, their own compulsions. The patients would expect something. So there is always a friction kind of a situation. So doctors are kind of more vulnerable. But this has really given a healing touch and an assurance coming from the highest court of the country, that the highest court of the nation is looking after their interest.
Well, it is
Okay,
somebody,
really
thank you, Mr. Zalzala. Dr. Rajiv Joshi, I think is on the line.
It's Dr. Rajiv Joshi from Medical Legal Society of India, sir.
Yes.
I represent a body of doctors which has got 70 lawyers and 120 members, doctors who have done LLB. So this is the association which has worked research for 5 years about the problems of violence against doctors. And you'll be surprised to know that you have mentioned there are 7 acts of 7 states. Actually, there are 21 states have different acts for violence against doctors.
Yes.
So that is first part. Second part is, in spite of having these acts, vandalism and the violence against doctors does not decrease because there is no deterrence. You can understand my statement that out of 1,381 accused people in Maharashtra from 2015 to 2020, only 4 have been convicted and rest have been given go by because of certain laws which help the doctors to help the accused to get away. Now that problem is to be sorted out by the legislation. And what we seek from your honor is the protection of law and not only the protection, physical protection that is being offered by your order, which has been given in detail on the day before yesterday. So what we would like to inform you is that Minister of Health and Family Welfare had drafted a legislation at 2019, and that was rejected by Home Department, that this legislation cannot be done because of certain reasons, whatever may the reasons be. After that, when there was epidemic, rather pandemic, the Home Minister assured IMA that they will form a central legislation. But only thing that they did was they amended the Epidemic Diseases Act, and it is now as the epidemic has gone by, the act has the truth of the act has gone by. So what I want to tell you is, out of these, I have filed a public interest litigation in Bombay High Court, and in 2020 we filed a public interest litigation. And as you formed a committee of various doctors, the Bombay High Court Chief Justice formed a committee of people from Maharashtra state, and the committee had 3 meetings, and the meetings have been concluded in a statement which says that the Maharashtra 2010 Act has to be amended. Now, I will read the statement of the Honorable Advocate General of Maharashtra State, which is reproduced in the order of the court, and you will realize what is happening about it. We have further, the court says that we have further been informed in the course of hearing today that the appropriate authority of the government has discussions with the petitioner, and a draft of amendments required to be incorporated in the Maharashtra Medicare Services Act has been prepared. However, Mr. Kumbhakoni submits that he has himself pursued the draft and found that the same to be clumsy. He therefore submits that the government ought to be given liberty to considering whether to introduce a new legislation or to amend the act, for which he has time. This order of the court is dated 13th of July 2021, Your Honor. More than 3 years and 1 month has passed after this order. The Maharashtra state government has not done anything about the report of the committee. Therefore, it is necessary to ensure that the recommendations that your National Task Force will give will have to be implemented on the ground. The other statement which I would like to make is, we had filed intervention application in Kerala Private Hospital Association versus State of Kerala. And in this case, on Kerala High Court,
Before, your Dr. Joshi, your PIL is pending before the Bombay High Court, but we're not leaving it at that. Once the report is submitted by the task force, as you rightly said, the next step would be the implementation of the recommendation.
Yeah. Now, please hear me out for 2 more minutes, Your Honor.
You can assist us at that stage on what steps should be taken to implement the report of the task force. We require
that is one part. Second part, I will give you
what's happening in Maharashtra, Kerala, because that's not really going to carry this matter any further.
Please give me 2 more minutes. We filed the application Kerala High Court, and the Kerala High Court passed an order of golden hour of filing FIR. Your Honor, please give me 1 more minute. The Kerala High Court passed an order of 1 golden hour for filing FIR, which is similar to golden hour doctors used to treat patients of stroke or cardiac arrest, so that the patient doesn't die or come with permanent disability. Now, this FIR was to be filed within 1 hour, and I have filed 5 instances of this order being disrespected by the police, and the Kerala High Court has taken cognizance of our applications, and they have asked the commissioners of police to file affidavits or superintendent of police to file affidavits, after which the violence in Kerala has come down by 75 to 80%. Subsequently, we'll be aware of the brutal murder of Dr. Vandana Das, who was stabbed 11 times in chest in early morning, and on that day, the High Court of Kerala asked the government what we are going to do about the act. Within 7 days,
you can assist us after the report comes in. These are important issues on implementation, which we'll look at later on. Let the report first come, and we'll then see. We'll require your assistance, and we'll be happy to have your assistance on what steps should be taken to including your suggestion on the golden hour.
Your Honor, Advocate Sneha Kalita has got copy of my submission. Kindly permit her to submit that document with her.
Request, but thereafter there are 2 holidays. 30th is Friday, 31st is Saturday, and Monday is 2nd. Second on 3rd, my lord. Subject to
Your Lordship, there's only one
Your Lordship, kindly take the note.
Yes, you can prepare us a note, Dr. Joshi.
I'm in the.
Your Lordship, there's only one suggestion, Your
The
Lordship.
special bench on the 3rd. Can you have it earlier, please?
Have
There's
it
a
on
special
Tuesday.
bench on the 3rd or later, either earlier or later.
Mr. Sibal, come on the 3rd. We can adjust the time between both of you. There's no difficulty.
No, but there's a special bench that is listed, matters are listed for 3 days.
Because then 4th, I don't know how we will be paid.
No, but fifth, my lord, can it be fifth?
We'll take it.
Fifth is all right.
Fifth.
Fifth, all right.
is-
What is that?
Lord,
Original
another
case
request.
diary be returned to us. The original.
Another request, my lord.
Photocopy of the original.
Lord, another, my lord,
Did
the
reply.
status report may be sealed again, my lord, and retain in your lordship.
Status report to be.
Same for us.
CBI state.
And same for, yes, obviously.
That's right.
Your Lordship, there is one suggestion, last suggestion.
Same for us. They've seen this.
Mandatory filing
Seal
of
our-
institutional FIR by the
seal our
institution
status
within
report.
2 hours of the cognizance of the office, Your
made
Lordship.
for the last 6
Yes, Your
minutes, you
Lordship.
were making
3
that
minutes.
point.
Yes, Your Lordship. That's
We'll issue directions even on
Your
that.
Honor,
deeply obliged, Your
Well,
Lordship.
there's one submission which is important at this stage, my lords, which was, I'll just take 20 seconds. Well, as I'm appearing for the National Federation of Resident Doctors of AIIMS and the Federation of All India Medical Association, my lords, they have got letters from different resident doctor associations have written letters to them that we are ready to join. However, if some degree of interim protection, some basic degree of interim protection by the time the recommendation of the NTF has been implemented, which includes only the CCTV footage at the entrance and the exit of the hospitals and the hostels, and also a distress call facility. They are requesting for this interim protection, my lords, because they are petrified after this horrific incident which has happened. And
Well, the government has already implemented this. West Bengal has already implemented this.
On behalf.
2 days back, we've implemented it as far as West Bengal is concerned.
Panic button.
In fact, I haven't.
Mr. Solicitor, what we'll do is this, apropos what, the submission which has come, can you ask the ministry to engage with the state health departments in the next week before we take up the matter? And we'll issue some directions on what in the meantime, what are the steps which the state governments can take in the meantime pending the report of the.
What I would suggest, apropos what is in furtherance, my lord, the health secretary can have a meeting with the chief secretary and the director general of police instead of health secretary of the state, and convey that you take care of this apprehension. This apprehension appears to be justifiable apprehension, my lord, because law and order would be a state subject, my lord. We can only accelerate or we can assist.
During the course of the hearing, counsel representing several resident doctors associations have indicated to the court that the doctors are willing to go back to work without any condition. However, it has been submitted that, don't say without any condition, are willing to go back to work and their duties. However, it has been submitted that the state governments may take a considered view on putting into place at least some safety measures to assuage the concerns of the doctors. Full stop. In order to enable this exercise, full stop, we consider the submission to be, the suggestion to be fair. Full stop. In order to facilitate this, we direct that the Secretary and the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of the Union Government shall engage with the Chief Secretaries and the Directors General of Police so as to find, so as to evolve, so as to ensure that the state governments, stroke UTs, put into place certain basic minimum requirements pending the receipt of the report of the task force to assuage the concerns of the doctors over their safety at the workplace.
Lordship, I am
Please.
presenting
With
my
your
federation
lordship,
and Dr.
with your lordship permission.
Exercise,
Just
the exercise of holding the meeting should be completed within a period of 1 week so that the state governments may take remedial action, remedial and appropriate action,
Lord,
given the exigencies of the situation within a period of 2 weeks thereafter.
In fact, we have
With your-
made that order on 9th.
With your lordship
Just if
permission.
we followed, we'll share it with them. We made that order to protect.
With your lordship permission, I just
Okay.
would like to add that in some of the hospitals and in private hospitals too, there is not adequate security staff.
And even the
Private
security
hospitals
staff.
will have to employ.
Your Lordship, may I just submit one thing?
I'll tell you
In-
one thing.
Please.
When you talk of private hospitals, if you go to a place
No,
like
no, Your Lordship, I'm just.
from nursing homes,
No, Your
large
Lordship,
hospitals, you have them across the spectrum.
Your Lordship, I'm
If we
just.
start telling the government to provide
Your Lordship,
security
I'm
at
just
every nursing home,
saying
An
that-
amount of money they charge.
Your Lordship,
should
in some-
employ, my lord,
Your Lordship, even
Ordinary citizens will have no security.
employ, Your Lordship, they are not having.
and public hospitals stand on a different.
Your Lordship, I just
because
submit one thing.
Large footfalls, the large number of doctors,
No.
sprawling workspaces.
Your Lordship, my submission is
Requirement.
not that.
Some help, but
Your Lordship,
reduce the
and
security for
I'm
some
just
important.
thinking, Your Lordship,
it may.
that in some of the hospital, Your Lordship, there is not adequate security, and security staff which they deploy, they don't make proper verification. They just employ anybody and then.
Ma'am,
that
it will be
is-
very difficult for
aspect-
this
this
court to
aspect-
monitor such at a minute level.
Therefore, we have a body of expert doctors who will tell us what to do, A, about the public hospitals, about the smaller hospitals.
That's correct.
Please.
Now, obviously, the burden can't be shared for both equally by the state. The state has an obligation insofar as public hospitals are concerned.
Of course.
Insofar as private hospitals are concerned, some alternate mechanisms can be put into place. That's why we had a suggestion of distress call mechanisms, so that you have an immediate access to
We've
a
done
lawful
that.
authority, should there
done
be
that
any
already.
problem or which is apprehended. So these are particularly things, therefore, the committee which we have appointed consists of doctors drawn from private hospitals and from the public sector. The idea is therefore to allow them to evolve something which is practicable. Us merely issuing a general direction will not make any, you have to have resources, you have to have
Task
manpower.
force may-
So
can
let's
give
therefore wait
that-
for the report of the task force and then we can see how to best implement it. But we are not going to merely lay it down with, be content with guidelines. We are then thereafter going to take up the report and then issue certain direction on that basis.
Please, Your
My
Lordship.
lords, with regard to the SIT notification that I had handed over, we will place documents on record demonstrating which we have obtained through RTIs and then seek directions on the 5th. Grateful.
Nice.
Grateful.
Grateful to your lordship.
Because this is really now not just a matter relating to a particular murder which takes place in a hospital in Kolkata, which is horrific in the nature of the crime, but it raises systemic issues in regard to the safety of doctors.
Two more incidents, one in Bombay and one in Ahmedabad after Calcutta.
Let the Chief Justice, please.
This deals with the systemic issue of safety of doctors across India.
Yes.
There are a couple of things, Ms. Sybil, before we deal with the broader aspects of safety and what we propose to do, we'll tell you in a
I have something to assist on that, neutrally.
briefly on both aspects. First, on matters of safety, we are deeply concerned about the fact that there is a virtual absence of safe conditions of work for young doctors across the country, particularly in public hospitals. As we know, these are all young interns, they are residents, senior residents, doctors, and most importantly, women doctors.
Yes.
Who are subject to of graver dangers and vulnerability.
They are vulnerable.
By virtue of the nature of their
Absolutely.
because of gender.
Working hours.
Just and working hours. Most of the young doctors have to put in somewhere
36 hours,
36 hours.
Malala, stretch.
We find that there are no duty rooms available, no separate restrooms or duty rooms available for men and women doctors, for the other nursing staff, for the paramedical staff who are also on duty. And therefore, we must evolve a national consensus to ensure that there must be a standard national protocol to ensure that safe conditions of work are provided. This is not a matter of providing protection either to women or protection to doctors in general. It's a matter of creating safe conditions of work so that they, ultimately, what is equality under the Constitution all about? If women cannot go to a place of work and be safe, then we are denying them the basic conditions of equality. And therefore, we are entertaining this, and I'll very shortly share the way we want to proceed with this to ensure that ultimately, it's not that every time that there is a rape or murder that the conscience of the nation is awakened. We have to do something right here and now to ensure that these conditions of safety are maintained in terms of protocols which will not just be on paper, but protocols which will be enforced across India. Now, insofar as what happened in Kolkata is concerned, Mr. Sibal, couple of things from what we have. Of course, first, let me begin by saying that we are deeply concerned of the fact that the name of the deceased who was assaulted and murdered, the name has been published all over the media. Photographs have been published all over the media. Video clips, obviously, either before or after the postmortem, have been published, showing her body, after she was subjected to it. It's extremely concerning. We are the first to recognize the right to free speech, but there are well-settled parameters.
It is extremely painful. I agree entirely with you.
Which have been laid down in now the new criminal procedure code by judgments of our court in Nipun Saxena, that you will not publish the names of the survivors of sexual assault. In this case, the person.
It's a criminal offense.
We have filed 50 FIRs on that count. 50 FIRs.
And it was circulated, nobody should publish.
May I just inform your lordships, before the police reached, photos were taken and these were circulated. We didn't allow anything to happen. We cordoned off the area.
Is this the way we provide dignity and respect the privacy of an individual who has lost her life as a young doctor?
Yes.
But apart from that, Ms. Isabel, I'm happy that you are here for the state of West Bengal. Couple of important, quite a few aspects of the way the matter proceeded. It appears that the crime was detected in the early hours of the morning.
Yes.
After the crime was detected in the early hours of the morning, the principal of the hospital tries to pass this off as a suicide.
Not true.
Her parents are not allowed to see the body. The parents are not allowed to see the body for almost.
No, Malad, I'm sorry. Anyway, Malad, this is the impression.
Our investigation
We'll have to place the facts before your lordships. We have investigated that. This is not correct.
Until late night, we find that no FIR was registered.
That's also not correct. Not correct.
What time was the FIR registered?
Malad, in fact, we did what we call a UD case, Malad. UD case. Unnatural death case registered.
Yes, unnatural death case
registered.
But
immediately.
That's right.
That's an FIR, Malad. That's an FIR.
Not the body discovered.
The UD case
the FIR registered formally in the police.
Malad's inquest was done and then FIR registered immediately and the investigation started.
It should have been done.
The FIR registered.
12, Malad. 12:30.
Does the FIR say that this is a case of a murder?
No.
Yes.
No,
No, my lord.
Unnatural death. It was.
We have something.
Unnatural death. Inquest shows it's a case of murder, Malad.
1 second.
Inquest shows it's a case of murder.
Inquest is done. The autopsy is conducted.
Yes.
Now, until the night, no FIR indicating that this is a clear case of a murder has been made out.
It has, Malad. I'm sorry. I'll place those facts before you. It has been, Malad.
Lord, may I suggest?
From
Lord, may I
unnatural death,
suggest-
he registered the case
Lord,
for murder.
That
We caught the victim. He is a civic worker, Malad. It's an individual act. I show all that, your lordship.
And that's the first aspect.
Yes.
What was the principal doing? Why did he not, why was this kind of inaction on the part first an attempt to pass this off as a suicide instead of a murder?
I'm sorry, Malad. That's not correct.
Not registering an FIR till late in the evening. Third, the body itself is handed over to the parents sometime in the evening for cremation. Fourth, and that's a matter of very serious concern. On the next day, the doctors the doctors, because they were all doctors working with her, the doctors are on protest. A group of persons, a mob assembles at the hospital. The hospital is invaded and the critical facilities are damaged in the morning or whenever the mob enters. What was the police doing?
Yes. But we have videos for all. Let me first of all state.
Surely, Mr. Sivan, the police, a very serious offense has taken place. The crime scene is within the precincts of the hospital. Now, that is the first thing that the police have to do, namely to protect the crime scene. What are they doing? They allow vandals to enter the hospital.
It's impossible that 7,000 people can gather without the consent.
Please, 1 second.
Allow me.
7,000 people can never gather without knowledge or consent of the police.
This is not an adversarial litigation.
It's not. Therefore, let us not be in denial mode. One girl has lost life by not only the sexual pervert, he is an animal.
After the principal resigns from this medical college,
He sent to another hospital.
he's appointed as a principal of another college.
He doesn't resign. But anyway, be that as
At the least, his conduct is under scrutiny, and he's appointed as a principal somewhere else.
this is all, we have a note on all this misinformation.
Not but each other, there is a high court order.
The reality, just show it to you.
Let them file a report, not.
Well, just show it to you.
Tomorrow.
My lord.
Couple of things which we would like to do. Well, let's make it very clear.
Yeah.
We would want the investigation has been handed over to the
CBI.
Bureau of Investigation.
Yes, done, yes,
We want CBI to file a status report before this court on Thursday.
correct.
We will take up the case on Thursday. We want CBI to apprise us on the status of the investigation.
Correct.
The investigation obviously must be at a very sensitive stage so that it's something which will be submitted to the court.
For court's consumption, not making
It's
public.
It's really an investigation update
Yes,
status
yes.
report which will be given to us on Thursday. We will consider the status report on Thursday morning and see where the investigation is proceeding. Today, what we intend to do is that today we intend to pass an order. What we have done is, and three of us, that's why we were in conversation with each other. We have discussed the pros and cons. We are setting up, under the authority of this court, a national task force. The national task force will consist of a diverse segment of doctors from different parts of the country. We want them to make us recommendations in regard to the modalities to be followed across India. We're not only talking of the Ajikar Medical College and Hospital, but modalities to be followed all over the country for ensuring safety at the workplace first and foremost, for which our young doctors, the middle level doctors, the senior doctors are all today on protest and on strike. At the same time, we would, now that we are taking charge of these proceedings, we are appointing a national task force. It's our earnest request to doctors all over the country who have struck work. There are institutions where I know appointments are taken 2 years in advance. For instance, the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Appointments are taken 2 years in advance. If patients lose their slot, they go back by another 2 years. So we would really earnestly appeal to all the doctors that we are here to ensure that their safety and protection is a matter of the highest national concern. And therefore, this is something which we would earnestly appeal to all the young doctors that this is something, please trust us. That's why we have not left it to just the High Court. The High Court, of course, consists of very seasoned judges. The Chief Justice was monitoring the investigation by the CBI, but we felt that this is now not a matter of a particular offense, however serious and horrendous the offense is, but something which affects the institution of healthcare pan-India. Therefore, the need for the Supreme Court.
We welcome this. I think this must be done, Mulaz. All of us must be very positive. But Mulaz, I have only one request. Mulaz, I have only one request. Yeah, sorry.
Lord, I need, my lord, 5 minutes on this, my lord.
That's what I said. Yes.
Who is the first informant? We were talking about the first information.
Yes.
Who is that first informant? Can you name us, please?
Name him.
Who is the first informant who launched the FIR?
The one I just find out for us.
And we would also like to know the time of the registration of the FIR.
The father of the victim.
Wait a minute, please don't interfere. Don't interfere.
The first UD case was done by the police on its own.
So that is not an FIR. What is section 174 of the old CRPC today? Can anyone assist us, please?
Yes, what's?
So that's just a report.
Yes, to start the investigation.
But then who lodged the FIR?
183.
First, the father of the deceased.
Yes.
Then
And
the
then
vice
vice
principal of the hospital. First, the father of the deceased and vice principal of the hospital.
No, there cannot be two FIRs.
No, but both complaints were sent to us.
No.
Both complaints sent to us.
Tell us whose complaint is treated as,
Father of the deceased.
this is registered at what time?
11:45 p.m.
11:45?
PM.
Now,
Next day, next day.
Yes.
The night. The night, Mother.
The night.
In the night. In the night, Mother. In the
now,
night.
when is the body, one second, when is the body handed over to the parents for cremation?
But let's kindly have this
Just
note
tell
that
us,
I've given.
what time is the body handed over to the parents for cremation? One second.
Around 3:30.
30:10.
No.
Therefore, one thing is very clear. The body is handed over to the parents for cremation at 8:30 p.m. The FIR is registered at 11:45 p.m. 3 hours and 15 minutes after the body is handed over to the parents for cremation.
They refused to file. This is the problem. We handed it over. They filed the FIR. They made the complaint at 11:45. They say, we are in shock. Please do whatever you want to do. They wanted a postmortem. We did the postmortem. All is videographed. Everything is videographed.
The autopsy and the postmortem take place.
Between 1:45 to 4 p.m.
Now, between 1:45 and 4 p.m., the autopsy takes place, followed by the postmortem.
The autopsy took place at 6 o'clock, not at.
Fair enough. That's all right. We'll take it as between 1 and 4 o'clock. It doesn't take place in 1 minute. It takes time.
Videograph.
1 second. Don't keep on interrupting.
They wanted a board. We constituted a board.
We are proceeding on the basis of Mr. Sibal's hypothesis that the autopsy and the postmortem take place between 1 and 4:45 in the afternoon. Now,
Lordship, there is-
notwithstanding this, clearly, the autopsy would reveal that this is a case where a doctor has been murdered, where she has been murdered.
Yeah.
The FIR is registered at 11:45 in the night, Mr. Sibal.
Yeah.
And who was expected to
Yeah.
Nobody in the hospital registers the FIR. The father registers the. What was the principal or the vice principal? What were the authorities of the hospital doing?
They wanted a board. We constituted a board. They wanted a magistrate. We got the
You
magistrate.
don't need
realize
time
that
for
murder has
registration
been
of FIR.
committed.
You don't need a medical board for registration of FIR.
At the moment, Mellors, what are we considering? We are considering, Mellors, 2 or 3 things, as your lordship has put to me.
Not done.
How did these photographs reach the social media?
No, that's
I'll mention all this. How did these photographs reach the media? We have nothing to do with it.
No, let
because
us
we
not
ordered out
trivialize, Lord.
everything. People there took photographs, came in, took photographs and sent it. Number 2, Mellors. Number 2, immediately, Mellors, an unnatural death case, Mellors, was started and an investigation was started. Your lordship may be right, Mellors, why did it happen? But whatever the parents were doing, we were agreeing with that. We set up a board. We asked the magistrate to come, a judicial magistrate to be present. Everything was videographed. Everything was called.
Mr. Sibal, it is the
Application was
obligation
made
of the
before the Seattle
authorities of the hospital.
Yeah.
The parents are not present in the hospital when the murder takes place.
Yes.
It's the obligation of the authorities of the hospital to register an FIR the moment they
2:45 it was done. 2:45 done. The letter was sent.
11:45 in the night.
No, 2:45 letter was sent. Assistant superintendent sent a letter at 2:45, Mellors. It's not 11:30, at 2:45 itself, we'll set out all this, Mellors. It's better we set it.
What we,
Lordships may give me 5 minutes, my lord,
Yes.
to further, my lord, to assist your lordships. My lord, first of all, Lord, let us not trivialize on this side, my lord, we are dealing with one incident, but your lordships are rightly looking at a larger picture. But we are dealing with, my lord, a young doctor, not only raped by a sexual pervert or perverts, but who was an animal-like instinct, who had an animal-like instinct, the way, my lord, the body was handled. Thereafter, my lord, I don't wish, my lord, to make this a political issue. I would request the state also not to be in a denial mode. 3 hours of the patient, parents waiting, my lord, is something we can experience if we put ourselves in that position. Now, my lord, so far as the safety is concerned, Lord, one thing I must bring to your lordship's notice. Lord, the doctors are genuinely, my lord, have a grievance. They are, my lord, they've lost one of their colleagues, my lord, globally. But, my lord, out of, my lord, all states, 23 states have legislations dealing with, my lord, what is called for, my lord, Kerala, my lord, so-and-so Medicare service persons and medical service institutions, prevention of violence and damage or loss to the property act. There are, my lord, I'll give, my lord, the list of acts. My lord, this also the National Task Force, my lord, can
The punishment which is provided under.
it's a cognizable, my lord, and
3 years.
3 years.
yes, my lord. It's cognizable, non-bailable, and punishment is 3 years. My lord, this is first. I'll, my lord, place it. The National Task Force, my lord, which our lordships contemplate, can, my lord, go into this, can even make suggestions, and it should be welcome, my lord. My lord, second thing, my lord, which is worrying us is this. Lord, even in a well-organized function, if we want the presence of 500 people in an auditorium, we all know we have to make efforts. 7,000 people at the middle of the night armed with lathis and hockeys, my lord, can never be without the knowledge, if not consent, of the police force. It's complete failure of law and order, my lord, in the entire state.
What time did the vandalization of the hospital take place?
Lord,
Midnight.
It's at midnight, my lord.
I thought my
7,000
learned
people.
friend, he doesn't want to politicize the matter, my lord. Why is he saying all this? Let's-
Why this is, my lord, important.
We should be called upon. We'll tell you what happened.
Mr. Solicitor, what we'll do is that we'll.
One more aspect. Lord, and my lord, again, my learned friend may feel that this is, my lord, but this is directly related to the issue in question. Lord, the West Bengal has an in-charge DIG. In-charge DIG, Director General of Police, who is already being charged and being my lord, considered by your lordships for having fabricated or otherwise dealt with the evidence in Sharda scam case. Lord, your lordship's
Calcutta
direction
police
in
doesn't come under
Mr.
DGP. Calcutta police doesn't come under DGP. Why are you saying all this?
What this has to do
Lord,
then.
This is
Director
Kolkata
General
police.
of Police
This has nothing
is
to
an
do with
in-charge
What
DGP.
is all this?
Not let someone else be the
This is
in-charge.
what is happening.
Let them choose, but not the man who is already accused
This is the kind of
having-
misinformation we are having, my lord.
And
This is nothing to do. This is a
Nothing to do.
only a minute.
Malad, I have only one small request.
What do you propose to do about the principle?
Whatever your lordship says, we'll do, Malad.
Constitution.
Malad, whatever your lordship says, we will do. There's no issue. SIT is constituted. SIT is constituted, but whatever your lordships will say, we will do. We are not, Malad, this is not adversarial, as I said. Malad, just give me just 1 minute. I just handed over something to your lordship. Just have a look at it, Malad.
Depends on
Just
the.
give it to my lord. Three
Can I
copies
only
that I hand.
All right, Mr. Sibal, we'll just hear the solicitor for a minute. He just wants a minute.
All
and
right.
then we-
Lord, I just, my lord, I want this, my lord.
Your Lordship,
Lord,
may I
an
just submit?
in-charge DG who is already a tainted officer in an affidavit filed before this court should be replaced by any other in-charge DG of their choice.
Let's just have this.
Another,
We have
one.
we have set out what is in the media and we have set out the reality.
No, share it with
For
all of us.
We will share it, don't worry.
No.
Kolkata police informed the family members that the present case was
They
a
are
case
in
of
a denial
suicide.
mode.
False.
No,
False.
Another aspect.
At no time did the police give this information.
Presently, what we propose to do is this. We'll indicate what the broad parameters of our intervention in this matter consists of. We'll just pronounce it very shortly. For one thing, Mr. Sibal, we are very, very concerned. Let not the power of the state of West Bengal be unleashed on peaceful protesters.
I give to your, we have videos of all that happened.
People, whether they are doctors, civil society, lawyers, people who are protesting, so long as there's no act of destruction of.
We have videos. We agree.
Let there not be the power of the state unleashed on
Agree.
peaceful protest.
Manoj, I agree, and that has not happened. 1 second. We have videos which we have placed, which we'll place before your lordship. And Manoj, what happens is political parties get into the act, and this is what happens.
People who are taking to the media to communicate their views.
Yes.
Let us deal with them with a great deal of.
I agree, I agree.
It's a time of national catharsis.
Look at the girl, don't be in denial.
Manoj, now, for example, they say pelvic and collarbone was broken. False. Postmortem doesn't say that.
Lordship, state and the center, they'll keep arguing.
Fair.
CBI is investigating it.
Yes.
We will ask for a report from the CBI. Now, what we propose to is,
Just
1 second.
Just 1 second.
This must stop. We are in charge of the proceeding. We have heard Mr. Solicitor. We have heard Mr. Sybil. If we start hearing all the interveners, there'll be no end to it.
Lordship,
Please have some patience. We are going to now tell you what we are proposing to do. We are not disposing of the case, but let's allow us to at least pronounce what we intend to do. All right.
No, this is the list of acts.
Would your lordship just leave
On,
a minute?
on 9 August 2024, a 31-year-old postgraduate doctor at RG Kar Medical College Hospital, Kolkata, who was in a 36-hour duty shift, was raped and murdered inside the seminar room of the hospital. As horrific details have emerged in the course of media reportage, the brutality of the sexual assault and the nature of the crime have shocked the conscience of the nation. The name and graphic images of the deceased have been widely circulated on social media without regard to her privacy or dignity. Writ petitions were instituted before the Calcutta High Court seeking, among other things, a court-monitored investigation of the crime and the conduct of the hospital authorities, including the role of the principal of the medical college and other officials by a special team of investigating officers. It has been alleged that the parents of the deceased were initially informed that their daughter had committed suicide. They were permitted to see the dead body after several hours, and a first information report in regard to the murder was registered belatedly by the police after several hours. By its order dated 13 August 2024, the High Court transferred the investigation to the Central Bureau of Investigation. Following the incident, agitations and protests were called by doctors' associations, student bodies, and civic groups across the country. On the eve of Independence Day, several areas in Kolkata saw protests spurred by the Reclaim the Knife campaign. At 12:30 a.m. on 15 August, when a protest was underway at the hospital, a large mob assembled at the premises of the RG Kar Medical College Hospital and vandalized the emergency ward and other departments of the hospital. Following the acts of wanton disruption and vandalism, the Indian Medical Association, a private and voluntary organization of doctors in India, called for a nationwide withdrawal of medical services except emergency services for 24 hours on 17 August 2024. In the aftermath of the brutal incident and the demonstrations which followed, the state government was expected to ensure the deployment of the state machinery to prevent a breach of law and order. It was all the more necessary to do so since investigation of the crime which took place in the precincts of the hospital was underway. We are unable to comprehend how the state was not prepared to deal with the incident of vandalization of the premises of the hospital. Nationwide protests following the brutal incident in RG Kar Medical College Hospital have brought the issue of the lack of institutional safety for doctors to the forefront. Medical associations have consistently raised issues of the lack of workplace safety in healthcare institutions. Medical professionals, in the performance of their duties, have been unfortunate targets of various forms of violence. Hospitals and medical care facilities are open throughout the day and night. Medical professionals, doctors, nurses, and paramedic staff work round the clock. Unrestricted access to every part of healthcare institutions has made healthcare professionals susceptible to violence. Patients of relatives in anguish are quick to attribute untoward results to the negligence of medical professionals. Such allegations are immediately followed by violence against medical professionals. In May 2024, 2 on-duty doctors were allegedly attacked by relatives of a patient who died during treatment in a hospital in West Bengal. In another incident in May 2024 in Bihar, following the death of a 25-year-old pregnant patient, a nurse was allegedly pushed off the first floor of the building by the kin of the patient. In August 2024, A final year resident in a hospital in Hyderabad was allegedly assaulted by a patient's attendants after the patient died due to medical conditions. These incidents of violence are a few among the many that have been unleashed against members of the medical community in the recent past. They are portents of a systemic failure to protect doctors, nurses, and paramedical staff in the confines of hospitals. With few or no protective systems to ensure their safety, medical professionals have become vulnerable to violence. With the involvement of systemic issues for healthcare across the nation, this court has had to intervene. Women are at particular risk of sexual and non-sexual violence in these settings. Due to ingrained patriarchal attitudes and biases, relatives of patients are more likely to challenge women medical professionals. In addition to this, female medical professionals also face different forms of sexual violence at the workplace by colleagues, seniors, and persons in authority. Sexual violence has had its origins even within the institution, the case of Aruna Shanbag being a case in point. There is a hierarchy within medical colleges, and the career advancement and academic degrees of young professionals are capable of being affected by those in the upper echelons. The lack of institutional safety norms at medical establishments against both violence and sexual violence against medical professionals is a matter of serious concern. While gendered violence is the source of more malevolent manifestations of the structural deficiencies in public health institutions, the lack of safety is of concern to all medical professionals. Preserving safe conditions of work is central to realizing equality of opportunity to every working professional. This is not just a matter of protecting doctors. Their safety and well-being as health providers is a matter of national interest. As more and more women join the workforce in cutting-edge areas of knowledge and science, the nation has a vital stake in ensuring safe and dignified conditions of work. The constitutional value of equality demands nothing else and will not brook compromises on the health, well-being, and safety of those who provide healthcare to others. The nation cannot await another rape or murder for real changes on the ground. Several states, such as Maharashtra, Kerala, Karnataka, Telangana, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, and Tamil Nadu, have enacted legislation to protect healthcare service professionals from violence and damage to property. All these enactments prohibit any act of violence against medical professionals. The offense is non-bailable and punishable with 3 years of imprisonment. However, these enactments do not address the institutional and systemic causes that underlie the problem. An enhanced punishment without improving institutional safety standards falls short of addressing the problem effectively. We have attempted to flag here the ground reality indicating the lack of institutional safety standards in healthcare institutions. A non-exhaustive formulation is set out below. A. Medical professionals who are posted for night duties are not provided adequate resting spaces. More often, doctors rest in the patient's room or in available public spaces. Duty rooms are scant. Separate duty rooms for male and female medical professionals are conspicuous by their absence in most healthcare establishments. B. Interns, residents, and senior residents are made to perform 36-hour shifts in conditions where even basic needs of sanitation, nutrition, hygiene, and rest are lacking. There is an absence of uniformity in terms of a standard national protocol. The fear of retribution prevents most healthcare professionals from questioning the absence of facilities for basic well-being. C. Lack of security personnel in medical care units is more of a norm than an exception. More often than not, medical professionals, which includes young resident doctors, interns, and nurses, are left to handle unruly attenders. Open access to healthcare facilities leaves medical professionals vulnerable to undesirable elements. D. Medical care facilities do not have sufficient toilet facilities. Most often, there is only one common toilet for medical professionals in one department. E. The hostels or places of stay for medical professionals are situated far from the hospital. Doctors and nurses who have to travel to and from the hospital are not provided transport facilities by the institution. Even within the precincts of the sprawling spaces of public hospitals, there is either inadequate or no transportation facilities for the safe commute of professionals. F. There is an absence or lack of properly functioning CCTV cameras to monitor ingress and egress to the hospital and to control access to sensitive areas. G, the patients and their attenders have unrestricted access to all places within the hospital, including intensive care units and the doctor's resting rooms. H, lack of screening for arms and weapons at the entrance of hospitals. I, dingy and ill-lit places within the hospitals. J, medical professionals have to shoulder the responsibility of being both medical and emotional caregivers to patients and their relatives. There are no supportive facilities and no training and communication skills. And K, certain spaces within hospitals, such as the intensive care unit and the emergency wards, are prone to a greater risk of violence because of the severity of medical conditions of patients in these departments. We have, in this backdrop, formed the view that a national consensus must be evolved after due consultation with all stakeholders on the urgent need to formulate protocols governing the issues which this order has highlighted. We have attempted to compose for this purpose a diverse body of persons with experience in healthcare institutions. A national task force with the following members of the medical profession is hence constituted. 1. Surgeon Vice Admiral Aarti Saryan, AVSM, VSM, Director General Medical Services, Navy. 2. Dr. D. Nageshwar Reddy, Chairman and Managing Director, Asian Institute of Gastroenterology and AIG Hospitals, Hyderabad. 3. Dr. M. Srinivas, Director, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AIIMS, Delhi. 4. Dr. Pratima Murthy, Director, National Institute of Mental Health and Neurosciences, NIMHANS, Bangalore. E. Dr. Govardhan Dutt Puri, Executive Director, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Jodhpur. 5. 6. Dr. Soumitra Rawat, Chairperson, Institute of Surgical Gastroenterology, GI and HPB Oncosurgery and Liver Transplantation, and Member Board of Management, Sir Gangaram Hospital, New Delhi, and Member Court of Examiners of the Royal College of Surgeons, England. 8. Professor Anita Saxena, Vice Chancellor, Pandit B.D. Sharma Medical University, Rohtak, formerly Dean of Academics, Chief Cardiothoracic Center and Head Cardiology Department at the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, Delhi. 9. Dr. Pallavi Saple, Dean, Grant Medical College and Sir J.J. Group of Hospitals, Mumbai. And 10. Dr. Padma Srivastav, former professor at the Department of Neurology, AIIMS, Delhi, currently serving as the Chairperson of Neurology at Paras Health, Gurugram. The following shall be the ex officio members of the NTF. A. The Cabinet Secretary to the Government of India. B. The Home Secretary to the Government of India. C. The Secretary, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. D. Chairperson of the National Medical Commission. And E. President of the National Board of Examinations. The NTF shall formulate effective recommendations to remedy the issues of concern pertaining to safety, working conditions, and well-being of medical professionals and other cognate matters highlighted in the above segments of this order. The NTF shall, while doing so, consider the following aspects to prepare an action plan. The action plan may be categorized under two heads. 1. Preventing violence, including gender-based violence against medical professionals. And 2. Providing an enforceable national protocol for dignified and safe working conditions for interns, residents, senior residents, doctors, nurses, and all medical professionals. 1. Prevention of violence against medical professionals and providing safe working conditions. A. Ensuring due security in medical establishments. 1. Triaging departments and places within the hospital based on the degree of volatility and the possibility of violence. Areas such as emergency rooms and intensive care units are prone to a greater degree of violence and may possibly need additional security in place to deal with any untoward incident. 2. A baggage and person screening system at every entrance of the hospital to ensure that arms are not carried inside the medical establishment. 3. Preventing intoxicated persons from entering the premises of the medical establishment unless they are patients. And 4. Training security personnel employed at hospitals to manage crowds and grieving persons. B. Infrastructural development. 1. Provision of separate resting rooms and duty rooms in each department for A. Male doctors, B. Female doctors, C. Male nurses, D. Female nurses, and E. A gender-neutral common resting space. The room must be well ventilated, have sufficient bed spaces, and provide a facility for drinking water. Access to these rooms must be restricted through installation of security devices. 2. Adopting appropriate technological intervention to regulate access to critical and sensitive areas, including through the use of biometric and facial recognition. 3. Ensuring adequate lighting at all places in the hospital, and if it is a hospital attached to a medical college, all places within the campus. 4. Installation of CCTV cameras at all entrance and exit points of the hospitals and the corridors leading up to all patient rooms. And 5. If the hostels or rooms of the medical professionals are away from the hospital, provision of transport between 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. for those who wish to travel to or from their place of stay to the hospital. C. Employment of social workers trained in grief and crisis counseling at all medical establishments. D. Conducting workshops for all employees of medical establishments, including doctors, nurses, and helpers, on handling grief and crisis. E. Constitution of employees' safety committees composed of doctors, interns, residents, and nurses at every medical establishment to conduct quarterly audits on institutional safety measures. F. Including additional requirements on institutional safety measures for medical professionals as a criteria for accreditation of healthcare establishments by the National Accreditation Board for Hospitals and Healthcare Providers. And G. The possibility of establishing police posts in medical facilities commensurate with the footfall, bed strength, and facilities. 2. Prevention of sexual violence against medical professionals. A. The Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act 2013 applies to hospitals and nursing homes, including private healthcare providers. In terms of the provisions of the Act, an internal complaints committee must be constituted in all hospitals and nursing homes. B. The duties of an employer listed under Section 19 of the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013, which includes organizing sensitization programs and providing a safe working space, must be discharged. And C. Ensuring for every medical institution a helpline number for medical professionals, which is open 24/7, and emergency distress facilities. It is clarified that the phrase medical professionals used in this judgment encompasses every medical professional, including doctors, medical students who are undergoing their compulsory rotating medical internship as a part of the MBBS course, resident doctors and senior resident doctors and nurses, including those who are nursing interns. The phrases medical establishments, hospital, medical institutions are interchangeably used. The NTF shall be at liberty to make recommendation on all aspects of the action plan highlighted above and any other aspects which the members seek to cover. They are at liberty to make additional suggestions where appropriate. The NTF shall also suggest appropriate timelines by which the recommendations could be implemented based on the existing facilities in hospitals. The NTF is required to consult all stakeholders. Bearing in mind the gravity and urgency of the situation, we have included the heads of the National Medical Commission and the National Board of Examinations as ex officio members of the NTF. Bearing in mind the national concerns which have been raised over the issue and the high priority which must be given to the creation of safe working conditions in healthcare institutions, we request the Cabinet Secretary to the Union Government to associate with the work of the NTF. The Home Secretary of the Union Government has also been made a member of the NTF in order to facilitate proper coordination with the state governments. The Secretary to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare of the Government of India will be the Member Secretary of the NTF. The Ministry of Health and Family Welfare will provide all logistical support, including making arrangements for travel, stay, and secretarial assistance, and bear the expenses of the members of the NTF. The NTF is requested to submit an interim report within 3 weeks and the final report within 2 months from the date of this order. All state governments and union territory governments, through their secretaries in the Ministries of Health and Family Welfare, and the central government, through the Secretary Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, must collate information from all hospitals run by the state and by the central government, respectively, on the following aspects. A. How many security personnel are employed at each hospital and each department? B. Whether there is a baggage and person screening mechanism in place at the entrance of the medical establishment. C. The total number of resting/duty rooms in the hospital and specific details of the number in each department. D. The facilities provided in the resting/duty rooms. E. Information on whether all areas of the hospital are accessible to the general public, and if so, with or without any security restrictions. F. Whether there are CCTV cameras in the hospital. If there are, how many and in which locations? G. whether the institution provides medical professionals training to appropriately handle the grief of patients. If so, the details of the training must be provided. 8, whether social workers who specialize in handling grief of families of the patients are employed at the hospital. If so, then total number of social workers must be provided. I, whether there are police outposts within the premises of the hospital or the medical college hospital campus. J, whether an internal complaints committee in terms of the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013 has been constituted. And K, whether the employer of the establishment has discharged the duties prescribed by Section 19 of the Act of 2013. If so, the details of it. The data submitted shall be tabulated and filed with an affidavit by the Union Government within 1 month from this order. The Central Bureau of Investigation shall submit a status report to this court by, we'll say 22nd and not 23rd, by 22nd August 2024 on the progress in the investigation of the crime at RG Kar Medical College Hospital. The state of West Bengal shall also file a status report by 22 August 2024 on the progress of the investigation on the acts of vandalism which took place at the hospital in the aftermath of the incident. The matter will now be listed on 22 August 2020.
India today contribute only 45% of direct taxes. Not only is the middle class being taxed, but now with this budget, the savings of the middle class have also been taxed with removal of indexation and with a rise in the short-term capital gains. Investors who've made more than 11% return, we've done the calculation, that's about the threshold rate. If you have made more than 11% returns, so if you've made higher returns, then this new tax regime with the removal of indexation has happened is good for you. Now, people like our parents, pensioners, salaried middle class, risk-averse people who invested in gold, in property, in debt mutual funds, the removal of indexation has harmed them disproportionately. So the middle class has lost out. Debt mutual fund holders will end up paying more than 40% more tax because indexation is being changed from 20% to 12% for investments made before April 1st, 2023. So this is effectively penalizing those who've made low profits. You've anyway made lower profits. People think real estate has made enormous profits. If you look at RBI's housing index for the past 10 years, the average rise in property prices has been between 4.5% and 5%. So if the middle class is invested in property, that is below 11% return, so indexation is going to harm you. The current GST regime is irrational and iniquitous. There is 18% GST levied on life insurance and medical insurance products. The Honorable MOS Finance yesterday on Monday told this House that the government has collected 8,263 crores as GST on health insurance for the fiscal year 23-24 alone. This is blood money. Our Honorable Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee wrote a letter to the Finance Minister, to the Centre, pointing out that this is a completely anti-people tax. What is life insurance? What is health insurance? It is people guaranteeing and spending money and protecting against life's uncertainties, against accident, against injury, against ill health, against death. What are you doing? You are imposing GST, same rate that a billionaire pays, the poorest middle class person has to pay. So people are deterred from taking out new policies. People are deterred from continuing existing insurance. This should be removed at the earliest. Now, let me now move on to what affects more than 70% of Indian citizens, social sector allocations. The general trend over the past decade, in every budget in the last 10 years, of which our Honorable Finance Minister has presented 7, has been in nominal terms, you have allocated more money to the social sector. But if you account for inflation and you look at real allocations, inflation adjusted, allocations have seen reductions of over 25% in the past 10 years. I'm going to look at real allocations, that is adjusted for inflation, for some major schemes in the past 10 years. Sarva Shiksha Abhijan, minus 18%. Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan, minus 9%. ICDS, which affects every child, it's a school scheme, minus 34%. Mission Anganwadi, minus 5%. PM Poshan, minus 45%. PMGSY, those of us who have rural areas, the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana scheme, minus 47% reduction in real terms. The National Social Assistance Program, minus 20%. The combined expenditure on 5 social schemes, the top 5 social schemes as a percentage of of GDP has declined from a peak of 0.93%. So almost 1% of GDP in 2009-10. Do you know where it is today in 23-24? It is 0.36%. It is only a third of what it was in 9-10. The Manrega budget during COVID, when the center was telling all the states, please give employment to the laborers, they are going back. The Manrega budget in 2021 was 0.6% of GDP. Do you know what it is today? 0.26%.